Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to something a little bit different. Today we're not going to be talking about any specific episode of any specific show. We are going to be talking about Free, which I love. Specifically, there's something that I want to get off my chest, something I've been thinking about for a little while now, and that is who is the best ship for Haru, Makoto, or Rin. This is something that's been on my mind for the last few days. I get this question every so often, so I figured why not actually address it in a video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about why I think RinHaru is superior to MakoHaru. Okay, so as with previous videos of mine, there is no script for me to look at. I'm mostly just going off the cuff. I have a couple of notes here, but nothing very specific. This is just kind of my honest-to-goodness opinions on why I think RinHaru is so great, and why MakoHaru just doesn't really work for me. Like, I've always understood it. I know why it's there. I did kind of ship it back in Season 1, but eventually I sort of fell into the RinHaru camp and fell in Horde. So let's go ahead and talk about why that is. Why RinHaru is so clearly superior, and that is because Haru really only becomes competitive around Rin. Makoto was there the entire time, and for reasons we'll get into in a little bit, it never really triggered Haru into doing anything competitive. After Rin left and the big blow-up fight that he has with Rin, he just doesn't really swim again. And it's only with the return of our boy, Rin Matsuoka, that he actually does stuff. Haru gets his act together. He actually goes out and becomes part of Iwatobi's swim team. He actually tries. Like being... or rather having Rin back in his life actually enables him to start becoming a little bit more confident, break out of that protective shell he has, or I guess protective bathtub he has, and made him enjoy the water again in a way that he hasn't in a really long time. Now, Haru's love for water runs deep, you know, like Haru's love for water is as deep as any ocean in any planet, not just Earth, any planet there could possibly be. Haru's love for water is as deep as the deepest depths of the sea. But he didn't really have that need to swim competitively again, to race in relays, until Rin comes back. Rin is Haru's spark, and likewise for Rin, everything this boy does revolves around Haru. Rin's one of my favorite characters of all time. I adore Rin to pieces. Honestly, Makoto, Rin, and Haru are three of my all-time favorite characters in anything. I love these three to pieces, and I do think they work best as like a trio. You could possibly make an argument for an OT3, but I just feel like that's doing a disservice to my boy Makoto, and besides, he's already got me as his husbando. He doesn't need anyone else. He's already my boyfriend. He doesn't need Haru. But anyway, like I said, let's go ahead and talk specifically about Rin here. We're not here to talk about Makoto. Put him on the side burner. We'll get to him in a second. The reason why Rin and Haru are so great is because they are each other's spark. Everything Rin does is usually, like 9 times out of 10, in service to trying to outrace Haru. Haru is his whole competitive drive. He wants to outrace Haru. Anytime that he does, it's a joyous occasion, and one of the things I love about the show and this relationship is the fact that Haru doesn't always win. This isn't like a Goku-Vegeta type thing where Vegeta's really competitive with Goku, but he never actually wins. Haru and Rin do make each other better because they keep kind of beating each other from time to time. One is better than the other for a specific time, and then the other is better than the other for a specific time. Like, they keep outdoing each other, making each other better, to the point where eventually the pair actually end up on the world stage. Like, these two have such a competitive nature and truly make each other better to that extent where they're actually able to like go Olympic level. Not to mention, it's Rin and Haru's dang show. Like, at the end of the day, as much as I love as much as I love the other characters in Free, it's really Haru's story, and what drives Haru, Rin. It's their story. Even by the time we get to dive to the future, for the most part, it's split into two different storylines. Who do they follow? Rin, Haru. And while Makoto is always a part of Haru's story, and we get different characters kind of floating in and out of Rin's story, at the end of the day, the reason why we follow these two stories is because they always intersect at the same specific moments, and that's because these two are the driving force of the narrative. These two belong together, they make each other better, they're absolutely perfect together. The only person you could maybe convince me Haru might actually have some feelings for outside of Rin is maybe Ikuya, because A, Dive to the Future is fire, and that is very much an Ikuya-like centric story. It's still about Haru and Rin, but Ikuya plays a huge part in Dive to the Future, and Ikuya and Haru, that kind of works. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of works for a lot of the same reasons that I think RinHaru works really well. But regardless, yeah, that's the only other person you can maybe convince me that Haru might have feelings for. There's like unreciprocated attraction maybe on other ends, specifically Makoto, we'll get there in a second. But I just feel like Haru only really has eyes for Rin, and Rin only really has eyes for Makoto. It's the same reason why I don't really ship like Rin Sosuke. Like Sosuke is a character I really like, but I don't really ship him with Rin either. I'd sooner ship him with like Natsuya. But yeah, I really feel like RinHaru is a much stronger and more like more true relationship. Again, it's the thing with Free is it's 90% subtext. So you're really looking at like underlying like undertones and lines that could have double meanings. This is what it is to be a shipper. This is what it is to be a Fudanshi. But still, regardless, that's just how I feel. Now I'm going to talk about something a little bit touchy. I'm going to talk about why I just don't think MakoHaru works all that well, and honestly, it's because I love these two too much. That might seem a little bit counterproductive. Allow me to explain. I love Makoto. Makoto is, I think, in my opinion, like the quintessential husbando. Everything about Makoto is damn near perfect. There's very few characters that I hold above Makoto. He's my boy. I love him to pieces. I love him dearly. And the same thing goes for Haru. Haru is my boy. He's my idiot son. I need to protect him from the world because he's too stupid to do it himself. And he's angsty. And he's my boy. I love these two very much. But they just don't work to me. I know why it is, but I know a lot of people are baffled by that. I know a lot of people feel as though but MakoHaru is the way. This is the only way. That's just not true. Because honestly, from the outside looking in, like, I'm not one of these characters. I'm a real person, I think. But from the outside looking in, if this were a real relationship, it wouldn't be very healthy, would it? Because when you think about it, Haru is Makoto's best friend. Makoto is Haru's best friend. But Haru doesn't really appreciate the things that Makoto does for him. I really believe that Haru occasionally, and by occasionally I mean kind of frequently, takes Makoto for granted. Assumes that he'll always be there, assumes he's always got his back, and for the most part, yeah, Makoto does. But it never really seems reciprocated all the time. Like, Haru obviously cares an immense amount about Makoto, and will be there as often as he can, but Haru's very selfish to an extent. And again, the only time he really gets active and does things out of his comfort zone is usually when Rin pushes him into doing it. A big part of Eternal Summer is that whole, you have to push for the future, you have to figure out what you want to do, and it starts with an argument between Rin and Haru that sparks this mean streak in Haru for most of Eternal Summer, and it's also a driving force in Dive to the Future. And this eventually leads to this huge blow-up moment, and this is the moment that I always point to as the moment that MakoHaru died. There's this scene in Eternal Summer where Makoto confronts Haru about what Haru is going to do for the future. And it's this big argument about how Haru should be going on planes and flying everywhere, doing relay races. This should be his dream, this should be his future, this should be what he should do because he loves it, but he's too stubborn to move forward. And he can't, and he just wants to hold on to the past. Haru won't move forward. and he's too stubborn. Like he just refuses to. And the lines, like specifically the ones that I'm thinking of, is where Haru should be flying around doing relay races while Makoto knows that he's not at that same level. This is the moment that Makoto lets Haru go. Now, I should stress that I think, and I know specific scenes that people are going to point to as like, this is why I ship MakoHaru, 9 times out of 10, those moments happen before this moment. And I always have to say that I do believe that Makoto maybe had some feelings for Haru. In fact, put maybe as a definitely. That scene in Starting Days, the scene with the two of them like floating through the water together, and like they kind of do that thing where they like spiral over top of each other and they're like swimming like in tandem. Yeah, I feel you. I get the emotions in that scene, and I think that's where Makoto was like, oh no, I have feelings for Haru. But I don't think Haru really reciprocated those feelings at all, just by his actions. I never saw that from Haru's side. I always saw it from Makoto's side, right through from Starting Days, right through to this moment in Eternal Summer. But after this moment where Haru like yells at him like, you're always getting in other people's business, specifically his business, you're always in people's business, but you're never talking about your own future. Like, what are you gonna do, huh? And Makoto says, I'm going to Tokyo. I'm going to university. I didn't get the chance to tell you until right now. And that moment is the moment that ship dies for me. Like, you even hear this like sound as fireworks go off in the background. And it's the moment that Haru realizes Makoto isn't going to be there for him all the time, that he needs to actually be a friend. If he wants to move forward, he needs to move forward with Makoto in lockstep. And to me, this is Makoto's strongest moment as a character, where he accepts that Haru is dedicated to Rin, and that Haru is a better swimmer than him and can go competitive while he has to find a new path. He can't be as competitive as them, so this is where we kind of see the starting blocks or the starting days, sorry, that was stupid. The starting days for Makoto becoming a swimming teacher and actually going to university and like learning a totally new path. And yeah, Haru does go with Makoto to university, but that never felt like, I'm gonna be there, like we're gonna do this together. It always seemed like just Haru finally realizing that, yeah, Makoto was right, but Makoto moved forward. He's willing to let Haru go hit down his road, and Makoto's gonna go down a different road, one that's better for him and more healthy for the pair of them. So it's part of the reason why I just can't ship MakoHaru, because it just seemed like Makoto was okay to move on, and I think shipping the two of them only hurts that decision to me. That's just me, though. I do respect that a lot of people are like, no, screw Eternal Summer, I still ship it to the moon and back, and if that's the case, that's fine. Keep in mind, we aren't talking about canon ships, we ain't talking about real, like, live situations. These are fictional swimming boys who we like to see hang out with each other. We're not actually arguing life and death. We're just talking about ships. So if you ship something, like if you ship MakoHaru instead of RinHaru, if you think I'm totally wrong, that's fine. But remember, we just having a discussion. But of course, the most important thing to keep in mind is that RinHaru is life, and I'm always right. I'm kidding, and I'm gonna wrap up today's video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be back tomorrow with Junjo Romantica. I was gonna do a Junjo Romantica video today, but for some reason, this topic was just on my mind and I couldn't let it go, and I felt like trying something a little bit different. But yeah, we'll be back to the Junjo Romantica discussion, or episode discussions tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed this one-off. Maybe I'll do more just random discussions. I don't know. If you have any topics, fire them away either in the comments or on Twitter. I will actually read the comments this go around. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And with that said, we've reached the end of the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to boop the up snoot and share if you care. And if you want to see me rambling even more, then feel free to follow me on Twitter or join our good folks Discord, both of which are linked in the doobly-doo. Lastly, if you're feeling generous, consider checking out our Patreon page to help support this channel. Speaking of which, I'd like to give a big thank you to our lovely patrons, such as Zevi, Alex, Andrew W., Branson C., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G, Deep Not That Deep, Digger the Fox, Dominic G, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria T, Marshall B, Mater, Mirth Mouser, Nymad, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G, The Suavest Orange, Tristan G, and Verdon. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon, and once again, thank you for checking out today's video. Hope you guys have a lovely day, and until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.